So thank you all for joining us. I think most of you know who we are, which is PushON. I'm Simon, founder and business strategy director at PushON. Been doing this since 2005. We're an e-commerce agency, started off in SEO and paid, moved into e-commerce development in about 2010. And we've done this for many, many businesses. Now, I think that makes us quite old in the tooth, which means experienced as well. And the great thing about his experience is you find stuff that is perhaps really easy and good to know. And the most experienced person I know in the industry is Chris McCarthy-Stott. Chris used to work client side, so he has that massive experience of the truth of running an e-commerce business, and he's been with us for a good few years. I've lost track of how many years Chris has been with us, but he has worked over so many installs of Magento, Adobe Commerce as we call it now. And one of the things that we find is that client side does not necessarily have the experience to maximize the benefit of what they paid for. There are many, many simple things that we can do that will make your life easier and better. So with that in mind, I think we're going to probably do a second presentation if I'm around this space. But I'm going to hand over to Chris, who's Associate Director of Development for PushON, and he's the guy with the knowledge. So over to you, Chris. Press whatever button you need to.
Do I kick you off screen, Simon, or do you want to stay on the screen?
Yeah, kick me off screen. You've got no need for me.
Afternoon, everyone. I'm not going to do a sales pitch. Simon's already done that. I might as well get into what I'm about to say. So, give me a sec. Should all be able to see a screen?
Yeah.
Cool. So, who am I? A quick intro. Simon's already mentioned who I am. I'm Chris, got a relatively convoluted job title. I'm also not very good at enunciating, so if I do mumble, someone should probably shut their hand up and ask me to repeat myself. Simon, as I said, I've worked in e-commerce for a while. I've been working in e-commerce for about 19 years now. The past 9 of them, Simon, have been working with you, so hopefully that jogs your memory. I specialise in Adobe Commerce, or Magento as it was previously called. So if my talk does skew in that direction or towards Shopify rather than being particularly agnostic, apologies, but that's kind of where I've grown up, so to speak. I'm not a sales guy, Simon is, so I'll skip over the about PushON part and go into what we're going to be talking about. So what are we going to be talking about, or what am I going to be talking about today? I'm not going to be talking about anything new, hopefully. You've already heard of everything I'm about to say. What I am going to be talking about is the tools that you should already have at your disposal. They're tools that you're probably already paying for. They either come with your e-commerce platform license, or potentially they are products that you purchased along your e-commerce journey. And well, why am I going to be talking about them? Because we do reviews of our clients' tech stacks quite frequently, and I'd say 9 times out of 10, my initial feedback is to people about how they're underutilizing the products that they already have, and that they're probably just hoarding functionality. They're happy to spend money getting the new latest piece of technology, but potentially unwilling, or maybe they're not got the time to use it. And definitely the worst thing is that they won't get rid of a lot of the things that they're not using. So the aim of my talk today is to give you a high-level overview of the tooling that you probably already own, but you aren't utilizing, therefore should be able to increase revenue without probably spending any more money. In my opinion, when should we do these things? Well, I think there should be something in today's talk that you can go away and implement today. Some of them are things that you could probably do whilst I waffle on about the things I'm talking about. Yeah, you should be able to do it before you get busy into the rest of your day. I'm going to quickly run through areas of catalog merchandising, search merchandising, email automation, personalization that we can have from a high level that we see people not utilizing. You could do in-depth talks on each of these areas, so it is going to be a whistle-stop tour today. So, category automation is one of those areas that we see people just not utilizing at all. So what do I mean by this, and why is it required? Well, we've got quite a lot of clients in the B2B sector. They've got well in excess of 100,000 SKUs, probably hundreds of categories, meaning that manually merchandising that vast array of product isn't possible. It's not like they're running a small shop where they can do their visual merchandising by hand. It normally results in high value real estate on their site being squandered, normally on out of stock products. What we've got on the screen is actually a photoshopped version of one of our clients where they'd let the top part of the most popular categories become out of stock. And it also results in products not being added to categories, meaning that no one can actually even find them. So yeah, if you're seeing the products without any clicks on them, chances are you probably forgot to add them to a category. So hopefully this sort of automation that I'm about to go through should kind of alleviate those issues. So nearly all e-commerce sites, more platforms out there have this functionality. On the right-hand side, we've got a screenshot from Shopify, and they come with the ability to automatically populate categories based on a series of rules. So, for example, if you're in a category that only features Nike products, then you can normally automatically generate that category by products that have been assigned to a Nike brand. There's other useful use cases for this. So you can look at creating clearance products for products that are set to be on sale, or for creating a new in category. Most e-commerce platforms will allow you to specify based on when a product was created or some other similar attribute. Similarly, most e-commerce sites come with the ability to move out of stock products to the bottom of the page, meaning that you're not seeing what I was showing in that first screenshot, where we've got a top level category just full of out of stock products. So these are some real easy wins for you guys if you aren't doing these things already. Another area that we often see underutilized is the population of cross sells and upsells. When we build sites, and when most people build sites, they're automatically including these sort of things into your user journeys. So, for example, on this site which we've built, after you add to basket, we've got the ability to cross-sell warranties. Or over on the branded hire station site, we've built the ability to upsell to people during their checkout journey. But what we often see is that people are failing to utilize the functionality. They've basically not specified what products should appear in these positions. So yeah, this is a real easy win to go home and review what opportunities you already have built into your site, and review whether or not across your entire product range that you've actually specified cross sells and upsells. Most sites come with an ability to manually associate this. And in all honesty, if you've got a really small catalog, your products have a long shelf life, this is probably going to be all you need. However, if you're in one of the scenarios I was talking about earlier, into the B2B with hundreds of thousands of products, or if you're in a fast fashion or something where your product lifestyle is quite short, it's probably going to, using a manual process, it's probably going to result in, again, displaying out of stock products during those kind of upsells and cross sells area. Therefore, if you're on a product like Magento or Adobe Commerce, you've got the ability to apply automatic cross sells based on a series of conditions, meaning you're able to filter out those out of stock, meaning that you're not going to fall into that pitfall of displaying products that people can't buy in premium real estate. Also, when it comes to cross-selling and upselling, if you're on a product like Adobe Commerce, you've natively got the ability with AI to select the most appropriate products for you. And even if your e-commerce platform doesn't have this out of the box, again, this is the sort of thing that might well have been bundled with something like Clever or Algolia. So you can utilize that functionality if you're using one of those tools. And then it'll just automatically display the most appropriate products. It means that you don't have to do any of that manual management, and hopefully you should see a better uplift. If people are thinking that my platform doesn't have these, or I'm not sure if it is, feel free to put in the Q&A, and one of us will be able to answer whether or not you've actually got it, or recommend a suitable product if you don't. So this one is definitely going to sound like eCommerce 101. However, we often come across sites where they haven't defined any way of filtering their categories. So why should they spend time doing this? Well, firstly, it adds structure to a catalog. Imagine walking into a supermarket and they're basically just throwing all the products on the floor. Without being able to apply filters, that's essentially what you've done. Secondly, it allows your customers to differentiate between products that are almost identical, and you find stocked on e-commerce sites. So this is again a Photoshop version of one of our historic clients, whereby they're expecting their customers to be able to navigate through 530 very similar products without giving them any options of filtering them, which is kind of nigh on impossible. Whereas if we're looking at someone like David Austin, they've provided all the facets and filtering that a user needs to be able to navigate through hundreds of very similar products. So this is one of those things that it is real basic e-commerce, but we see it time and time again where people are just not using this functionality, meaning that their customers are either having to navigate through pages and pages to find the product they want, or potentially just giving up and going over to a competitor. Yeah, that last part is, if you're on any of those platforms, how to do those things. This is an area that might natively not come with your e-commerce platform. However, it probably is bundled again with something like if you're using Trustpilot or Reviews.io, then you will have the ability to add a Q&A function to your product pages. So by Q&A, I do literally mean allowing your customers to ask questions about the products. We've all seen it over on Amazon. It's nothing new, but if it's used well, it can help increase revenue by providing customers with the information that they need prior to purchasing. And it can also decrease the cost, or your costs even, for example, by reducing the number of calls to a contact center asking the very similar questions about your product, as well as potentially providing you an uplift and decreasing cost. It should, in theory, be good for your SEO, because it should provide you with relevant, unique content about your products. I do keep saying should, because it really depends on how these things are implemented, whether the content is actually crawlable. So it's one definitely to check with your SEO team. So another area that we see underutilized is product reviews. The biggest issue I come across with product reviews isn't the reviews themselves. it's actually the lack of them. However, product reviews can often be contentious, especially in the less mature sectors like the B2B market, because in the grand scheme of things, it's easy to put something in a box and get it delivered. So people are less worried about service reviews, and they're, on the other hand, more worried about product reviews because it's hard to create a product. There's a lot of time put into researching the right product, R&D on developing it. So people often shy away from allowing users to review their actual product, worried that they're going to get a lot of negative reviews and it's going to end up in that product basically being binned. But the first thing I recommend to our clients in these scenarios where they're reluctant to start collecting product reviews is just actually to start. They don't have to publish them at all, but at least then you start to get an understanding of what your customers are saying about your products. And then secondly, if you have started collecting the reviews, you find out your customers think your product's as awesome as you do. Another area where we've seen people make the mistake is they've basically collected 100,000 reviews, but they've not put them on the front end of the site. Sometimes that's because of politics. That's sometimes just because they forgot that they were collecting reviews. So it's worth checking, making sure that on a regular basis that you are publishing your reviews. Some platforms do require them to be actually published as well. Lastly, once publishing your reviews, we get this a lot with people tempted to try either filter out the negative ones or kind of get rid of them entirely. But best thing to do is just respond to them appropriately. They'll help lend credence to your other reviews. Make sure that you actually care about your product. So the next area of audits that we would normally conduct is reviewing what search tooling and how people are handling on-site search, which is one of the most popular ways that customers navigate your site. So it's really important for most of our clients. The first thing we would normally review on a client site is whether or not they have started adding in any synonyms. So what do I mean by synonyms? Literally just the definition of a synonym. We get this in a lot of industries where what a customer might call something is different to how our clients call them, or the same product is used in different ways across different industries, meaning that the terminology is different. There's some simple examples on the screen. And most platforms like Shopify allow for the manual curation of your search results. They allow you to go in and automatically say jeans equals denim. And this sort of thing that if you're not doing this, then the results you're going to get out of your search are going to be not what you expect them to be. And it's one of the easiest ways you can get an uplift of click-through rate from your search results. If you're already on a third-party platform like Algolia, it means that you've got the added benefit of the introduction of AI. They're normally suggesting search synonyms automatically for you. The only thing you actually have to do is go in and approve it. Again, this is an area where people fall down because they forget to go in and approve the work that the AI has already done for you. So if you are using something like this that requires some manual approval of those AI rules, then just remember to put like a weekly reminder in your calendar or monthly, depending on how many you get in, just so that you do remember to go in and so your customers can make use of them. Another common area that we're seeing where people are underutilizing their search capability is with search redirects. Some users searching for things that aren't best handled by your search results. For example, maybe they're searching for help or for contact, meaning that the search results page isn't a very good place for them to be going to. So rather than sending them there, you can automatically redirect them to your contact page, for an example I was using there. And that should, in theory, improve their user experience on site. Sometimes there's search terms that are being used by your customers that are really high up the purchase funnel. So a category page might be more appropriate for them to go to rather than a search results page. This is because you can offer them a fully merchandised story that's probably going to be a more powerful sales tool than just what products have an affinity to the keyword that they typed in. It also, these things also allow people to get to the product that they want via search quicker. So what we see in B2B is that a lot of users are typing specific SKUs in. So rather than taking them to search results where you might get lots of products with very similar SKUs, which can be quite confusing to them, you can take them automatically to that product, meaning that they've got exactly where they want it to go. We also see people being able to handle their promotions. So we've got clients who, a lot of their search terms are the discount codes that they're offering, being tapped in the search results box. So it's better to, again, not send that person to a search result page. It's better to set them to maybe the actual promotion that they are looking for, or maybe they're typing in outdated promotion codes. It's better to set them to somewhere else where you can handle them better. So you might want to take them, rather than to search, to a newsletter sign up. So if you sign up to this, you can get this discount, because that person obviously has an affinity with discounts, and you're just handling their journey a bit better. And then we often see this, a lot of clients don't even know that this exists, in all honesty. So what do I mean by this? Well, there are times that even when you've implemented synonyms and redirects, your search results still produce less than acceptable results. Again, there are built-in tools to help you. And what we see is that, again, they're just not utilized at all. They're really low-hanging fruit. So one of the most lowest hanging fruit is to merchandise the no results page. So this is when someone types in a search term that hasn't brought back any results. So rather than just that person hitting back or exiting the site, you can provide them with either personalized promotion blocks, or you can give them the contact details of customer service, who hopefully be able to continue that conversation and hopefully get them to where they need to be. If you've forked out for something like Clevu or Golia, you may want to look at automatically applying filters based on keywords that are entered. And that basically means that you, again, can search about surface products that are relevant to the entire search term rather than just part of it. And if you've got something slightly more advanced than just something like basic Elasticsearch, you should be able to promote certain products for certain queries. So again, or demote them. So you can demote your out of stock products to make sure they don't come up the top. Or if you've got products that are very similar to one another, but you need to shift one variant of that, then you can promote that to the top of the search results. Again, if these sort of things that you're not sure whether or not your search engine has natively, feel free to let us know in the Q&A, and we can send you to the right direction. The next section I'm going to be covering is email automation, and the reason for that is quite simple. In most industries, email continues to be the most effective online marketing tool that we have. Your platform is 100% going to let you do this out of the box. And there's a few things in here that, hopefully there's people doing all of them, but there's probably a few things in here that you might not be doing. One of the simplest automations that we can introduce to eCommerce is the abandoned cart emails. The principle is pretty simple. A lot of people don't check out. A lot of those sales can be recovered a lot of the time. And in most cases, it's simply logging into either your e-commerce platform or your ESP and setting the functionality up. So because it already exists, and if you're not asked about the way it looks, it's sort of thing that you can complete probably by the time I finish this presentation and start recovering kind of the lost money from people abandoning carts. So if you do care about the way your abandoned cart emails look, it'll take you slightly less time, but it is the simplest thing you can do in terms of email automations. So what do I mean by welcome emails on this slide or onboarding emails? They're normally a chain of communication that you send to a customer post-purchase or sign up to encourage them to engage with you further. You often see these over on SaaS software trials where they email you with how-to guides and check-ins to make sure you're still using the product so that you don't cancel the trial. And the principles are the same in e-commerce, especially in the B2B sector with maybe more complicated products. A customer who purchased off you once kind of was a customer, in my opinion. If you can keep that engagement going with them, then you've got a higher chance of them continuing to be a customer with you. As well as increasing engagement, you can use these things to decrease costs. So rather than your customer either constantly ringing you or emailing you the same thing about a particular aspect of your product, like how do I put it together, how do I utilize it, well, you can use a welcome or onboarding chain of emails to send them that information so that it's, they've got the useful information. They're not having to ring you, get your company up and utilize your time. This next one, I'm going to admit is slightly more complicated than abandoned carts. You're going to need to identify what it is that your users need and what it is that you want to do to them. They we got to so depend on the level of complexity of these user journeys that you want to build. You can build them infinitely complicated, but I say you can make them really simple at the start, or you can, as I say, get into really complicated versions of these welcome emails and chains that you want them to do. Then this slide should be fairly self-explanatory to people. Out of stock notifications, they let people notify when your products are back in stock. On these, you're going to be rewarded with a really high open rate. However, from experience, these sort of campaigns do have a really low conversion rate, and the older the data that you've got in that list of people who signed up to the back in stock notifications, the lower that conversion rate is probably going to be. And the reason for that is probably because they went and bought it elsewhere and they don't need it anymore. However, you can leverage this functionality in slightly different ways. For instance, people like End or over on the Nike site or the New Balance site, you'll see them doing product drops. It's just another way of leveraging the same piece of functionality, but to develop a hype around the fact that you've got a new product coming. And it's something which most platforms do allow you to do out of stock. Another way that we see this done for clients is just allowing them and their customers to do pre-orders. And again, for most platforms that we're working with or ESPs, it is out of the box. If you're using something like MailChimp, you can do back in stock notifications. It's slightly more convoluted, so it's probably worth just chatting through over the phone on how you can do that. The final area I think we're going to cover in today is personalization functionality that your platforms come with natively, but a lot of people again, but when we're reviewing tech stacks aren't using them. The first, often more simple one to turn on, but maybe not simple to get permission within a company to do, is loyalty programs. It should be fairly self-explanatory. You're normally providing some benefit to a user to them purchasing or doing some other actions. If you're over on Adobe Commerce, you've got the ability to provide your users with points for doing certain actions such as purchasing, and then get them to reclaim those points for a certain monetary value. So yeah, we can hopefully try and turn a user that only purchased the product once into a more engaged customer. And yeah, as well as just getting them to try purchase off you more, you can utilize it for them sign up to emails or sharing content online. There's various other ways that those loyalty programs allow you to boost your engagement with your customers. And another thing that they're actually quite useful for, rather than just saying, "Oh, I'm trying to get people to buy more off me," is getting them to give you more information. So obviously, if we are one of the foundations of personalization is actually being able to segment people. Without that information, you're not able to provide them with personalized content. And if you've got a user loyalty scheme, you can actually say, if you fill in this information, we'll give you some more points. Say if they give you their gender as an example, it's probably a bad one to start personalizing on, but if you give you your gender, then you can provide them with additional loyalty points. But it's useful in the B2B sector where we would normally be asking for what trades they're in, what sort of products, branding and brands and so forth that they're interested in, so we can really start creating a persona and personalizing directly to them on it. It is native to something like Magento. If you're over on something like WooCommerce or Shopify, then there's like a million apps in the App Store. You're going to just need to review how you want to set up your loyalty scheme against what each one offers. And again, if you want in specific recommendations, those ones, just drop them in the Q&A and hopefully we can answer you. So a lot of what I've been talking about earlier on is pretty low-hanging fruit, and some of people will already be segmenting audiences to do certain things. So say, hopefully, why should we bother segmenting? Well, from my experience and from our clients' experience, you get higher levels of engagement. You should be able to achieve higher average order values by communicating the right message to the right people. And again, if we're offering personalized conversations to people, we should be able to offer or get higher conversion rates. And these sort of things, segmentation doesn't actually have to be very difficult. In some cases, we've got people who have got really clear-cut segments, and you can just start, rather than mass mailing them, you can at least start to have a slightly more nuanced conversation with your customers. So we've got a client they hire out building products, so they're able to at first split their conversation into DIY and builders. So in most industries, there is that high level of segmentation, which should allow you to start doing this much more simpler. Bad English there. Once you've created your segments, you should be able to define what messaging you want to deliver different to them. If you're on a platform, again, like Adobe Commerce or Shopify, then you've got this functionality out of the box. You can start automatically servicing different content, different products based on those segments. And you don't need to do this across every single area of your site straight away. It can just be that you look at key areas of your user journey and start focusing on those, start building your segments and personalizing those, test how that gets on, and then start rolling it out rather than waiting to do everything all at once. And in all honesty, setting them up is pretty simple. On the screen, you should be able to see that within a few clicks over on Magento, you can set up some segments and then start targeting content to those segments. So yeah, it is whilst sometimes defining the segments and saying what you want to talk to those segments and how you're talking them differently to other segments can be the hard work. Setting it up and running with it can actually be the really easy part. And finally, this is a suite of tools on most e-commerce sites that are completely either overlooked or unknown. And most e-commerce platforms, often live chat programs, let you manually help your users with their shopping. What do I mean by this? I mean helping them navigate directly to a product, or even adding products directly to the basket for them. If you're on some platforms, they actually let you log in as your customer and navigate the site for them, complete certain tasks on their behalf. Right. Here on the screen is an example of on Magento where from the admin you can log into a customer's account and complete actions on their behalf. So when is it going to be useful, this sort of thing, and why would you want to do it? Well, I'm sure we come across confused or irate customers who can't find products or information that's right in front of them. You can help smooth that journey by intervening on their behalf. Another use case that often goes overlooked is accessibility issues. I'm not saying that seller-assisted shopping is good. You shouldn't be replacing making your site accessible to disabled people, but it does give you another tool in your arsenal, because about 40% of them are reporting that accessibility issues mean that they just give up on purchasing, not because you didn't have the product. So yeah, it can be one of those ones that as you try and make your site more accessible, you could introduce some more seller-assisted shopping, so it can help that nuance with your customers. And finally, for people in the B2B world with incredibly complex products who want to allow online purchasing, what we've seen them use seller-assisted shopping functionalities for is helping people build the correct products that go together. Sometimes there are products that if you don't buy them together, they won't work at all, and the catalog's vast, and there's lots of very similar products. So quickly building baskets with the correct products for people and letting them check out securely really helps increase their conversion rate. So that was going to be a whistle-stop tour of where we're at, and that is the end of what I want to talk about. So yeah, as mentioned earlier on, if you think there's any areas that I've talked about today that your platform doesn't do, then ask in the Q&A, send me an email, reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I can happily go through how they probably are, or if they aren't, what the right products you can utilize for that is. So any questions in the Q&A?
I suspect. So thanks, Chris. That was damn useful. We've got a few client-side folk on there. It'd be lovely to get some feedback from you. I don't think there's any questions so far. I'm just checking the chat as well. No. Yeah, we will stick this out as we're saving the video. It will be put up on our YouTube channel. We're always trying to do things that are useful to you, especially those of you who are client side. If you've got any things that you're wondering about or anything that's just brought up, just get in touch. We're easy to get hold of. Get hold of me, get hold of Chris. And if you've got a problem, we'll try and solve that problem for you. And if you've got anything that you want to know about e-commerce, the tech side, the marketing side, drop us a line and we'll do a bit of research and we'll put something together for you. If there's demand, we will find something to say. So I think that's us probably done for now. So thanks once again, Chris. Really useful. And over to you, Max. You can shut us down. See you later.
Thanks, everyone.